Sup players, it's Chris from Team Paradigm here. Sorry for not uploading in a while, but I was busy with a lot of different things. But today I'm back with a different kind of video than usual. In this video, I'm doing the first top 10 in a while on our channel. I believe the last one was like top 10 anticipated cards of like Invasion Adventures or something. But this time I'm going to be going over the top 10 cards from Soul Fusion that I believe are worth picking up. The Soul Fusion sneak is in fact this weekend, and the set is coming out 21st October here in Europe. So be sure to go and pick up the cards you're looking for in this set. This set is actually really good in my opinion, and it's definitely a lot better than Cybernetic Horizon import and world premiere wise. Before we get into it, I just want to say that this list is based off my opinion, and if you don't see a card on the list, feel free to leave a comment down below. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the list. At number 10, we're going with the new Chaos Dragon support in the set and one of the 8 secret rares, Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So what does this card do? Well, it must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 light and or dark monsters from your graveyard, and then on summon it gains the appropriate effect depending on what you banished to summon it. So if you banished only dark monsters, it spins 1 card from your opponent's hand into their deck, and then if you banish only light monsters, you can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard. And lastly, if you use the combination of the 2, it pops 2 cards on the field, and that doesn't target, by the way. The downside of this effect is that it cannot attack the turn it's summoned. So all its effects are pretty decent, but I believe the best one is the one where you get to pop 2 cards or special summon 1 from grave. That's mainly because I believe that this is more of a mid to late game card, and that the hand looping effect is only really good when you go first. And it's not that often that you have many light and darks in your first turn unless you're playing grass or something that mills a lot of cards. So even if you are a Chaos Dragon player, you're definitely going to get your hand on this card sooner or later. And you can even check this card in other Dragon decks if you want to. However, I believe that this card is going to be a rather cheap secret rare, since the other secrets are, pretty much better, or some of them are. And it pretty much hasn't really done anything over to the metagame in the OCG. And it's only strong in one deck that sees little to no competitive play, over here at least. Yes, Chaos Dragon topped a bit over in the OCG, but keep in mind that the new Chaos Emperor Dragon isn't a price card over there, and that they have grass at 3. Also, Chaos Dragon Levianeer is one of those secrets that you don't even want to get and acquire as a competitive player. So yeah, final verdict. Chaos Dragon Levianeer is an okay card, and that definitely deserves the number 10 spot. So at number 9, we're going over a bit of a more generic card, and that is the spell Extra Foolish Burial. This card basically allows you to pay half of your life points and send any card from your extra deck to the graveyard, but you cannot set any spells or traps the turn you activate this effect. So the first thing you notice about this card is that steep cost and restriction, and that's what ultimately keeps this card from being any better. But what deck is this card good in? Well, ritual decks like Necros and my Spirit deck benefits a lot from this card, since you can send Herald the Arclight to the grave and get a search that way. And you can even send Ensis to the grave and pop a problematic card on your opponent's side of the field. So on that point, Extra Foolish Burial actually has its utilities. But the main thing about this card is that it basically boosts the consistency of most ritual decks, and the best part about the cost is that depending on what deck you're playing, the cost actually doesn't matter at all in those decks. This card is a super rare in the set, and that means it's very easy to get a hold of, and it will help boost the consistency of your ritual deck, And speaking of rituals, at number 8 we have even more ritual support in the form of the new Incantations, and there's 2 of these monsters this time released in the set, like Cybernetic Horizon, in the form of Bookstone and Pensilver. So for those of you that don't know how the Incantations work, they both reveal themselves in the hand along with a ritual spell or monster, and sums itself along with the incantations directly from the deck. As well as all of the Incantations gains an additional effect when summoned from the deck. So Bookstone recurs ritual spells when summoned from the deck, and Pensilver recurs ritual monsters when summoned from the deck. The better of the two is arguably Pensilver, since it enables Necros to use their monsters' effects in hand once again. Adding Brio or any other Necros from grave to hand to use their effect again is pretty good in my book, no pun intended. However, these are slightly worse than Candle and Talismandra, since they don't grab something from the deck, and the fact that their levels are a bit worse is also another minus. But they're really solid cards overall for any ritual deck, and they're obviously a lot better than Necros. Speaking of rarity, they're both common, which makes them really accessible, so like Extra Foolish Burial, it's cards you want to pick up if you're playing rituals and more specifically Necros. For number 7, we have the card that isn't Trap Trick support, but rather generic trap support, and that is of course Trap Trick. This card is cool for many different reasons, and mainly because it essentially sets any normal trap from your deck and enables it to be activated in that turn. Downside is you can't activate other traps for the rest of the turn after you activate a Trap Trick. So this card seems very gimmicky, but can however prove to be quite useful for searching out traps, and it basically gives you access to 6 copies of a trap instead of 3. So for example, if there's a normal trap that's really good in the current meta, then it's pretty nice to have access to 6 copies of that specific trap. Being that this card sets any normal trap means that it can search pretty much any trap in the game. Cards like Impermanence, Evenly, Heavy Storm Duster, and Mind Crush are really good options right now. But you could pretty much play 6 copies of whatever normal trap you like. However, the downside really hurts this card's potential in the metagame, since you can't activate other traps, and the fact that you can't set floodgates is just another minus. Also, the fact that this card is inherently slow by being a trap is also not that great. The last thing I want to mention is that this card is secret rare, which means it's not as easy to obtain as some of the other good cards in the set. And like Chaos Dragon Levianeer, I believe it's not going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those lesser valuable secrets. Final verdict: Trap Trick is a nifty little card, but not really worth being a secret rare in my opinion. At number 6, we have one of the most desired V-Jump promos that is finally being given to us as an import here in Soul Fusion and the TCG, and that is of course DDD Flame High King Genghis. Now, all DDD players are pretty much rejoicing at this point, and it's not very hard to see why. They in fact had to wait nearly 1.5 years for this card to be released in the TCG, and DDDs are now a lot more playable here in Master Rule 4 because of the release of this card. Also, it's common, which means it's really easy to get your hands on a playset, and it's pretty much free. This card is basically a bigger and better version of Flame King Genghis, since High King Genghis pretty much has the same effects as the smaller counterpart, but with a spell and trap negation on your own turn instead of the recursion of a Dark Contract card when being destroyed. Now, I don't know too much about DDD, so I don't really want to talk too much about this card, but I definitely can say that it's nice for DDD players over here in the TCG to finally be able to play with this card after such a long time, and now that DDD's got their best support from the OCG. That's mainly why this card deserves the number 6 spot. The next card on this list, and on the number 5th spot, is yet another one of the secrets in the set, and that is Condemned Witch. This is one of the secrets that I'm personally really looking forward to getting from Soul Fusion, because this card is so good in my opinion. This card is a level 4 Dark Fairy monster with 100 attack and 2000 defense, and when it's normal summon, it adds a forbidden quick play spell from deck to hand, and during your opponent's turn, you contribute itself as a quick effect to special summon a level 4 fairy from the deck. However, both of these effects are hard once per turn. So first off, this card's got pretty solid stats, and that effect is amazing. Now both Chalice and lands are searchable, which basically offers a monster negation or a protection effect for your monsters you're going to summon with the second effect of Condemned Witch. This card is particularly really powerful in counter fairies, since this card can summon Bountiful Artemis directly from the deck, and without being clogged up by Demise or anything like that. And this card can even summon Dark Lord Nurse Reticule for those trolling Nurseburn players. A thing I also want to point out is that these effects are in one normal summonable monster. So yeah, I'm really excited about this card, but I think it kind of sucks it's a secret rare to be honest, mainly because it's harder to get, and then at the same time, it is pretty cool that this card is coming in a nice rarity at least. As for this card being secret, I don't see it being that expensive in the long run, and one of those secrets that you don't really want to pull out the pack. And that's simply because it hasn't done anything to the metagame. But I'm still really looking forward to this card nonetheless. For number 4, we have another shared spot on this list, and that is the best world premieres in this set, at least in my opinion, and that is all of the new Danger cards. Now, Danger received 6 new cards in the form of 4 monsters, 1 spell, and 1 trap, with 2 of the monsters being secret and the spell being ultra. I don't want to go over too many of the cards since most of you probably already know what they do. The best of the bunch are probably Tsuchinogo and Response Team. Tsuchinogo, aka Snake, is going to make all of the danger variants with BA and PK a lot better since it's a free level 3 summon no matter what. And Response Team is essentially removal and consistency 1 card, and this is arguably the best card for pure dangers in this set. The other danger cards range from okay to mediocre. Thunderbird, the other secret danger, is alright, and it seems like more of a side deck card than anything else, depending on the format obviously. And Dogman is alright since it's affect all monsters. And for lastly, Mothman is not that bad. However, the trap is slightly mediocre in my opinion since it's way too slow and don't have any bonkers effect like Danger Zone. The dangers are some of the biggest chase cards in this set, and the secrets are most likely going to be some of the money cards in this set as well. So like Nessie and Bigfoot, I think Tsuchinogo might be worth a lot too. Overall, the dangers in the set are pretty solid. Will it make them tier 1? Probably not, but they will probably be one of the 2 strongest tier 2 decks around. At number 3, we have the most popular card from the Dimension Box over in Japan, and that is of course freaking Frightfur Patchwork. We literally waited way too long for this card to be released for us, but now we are finally getting it after 1.5 years of waiting. For those of you that don't know what the Dimension Box is, it is basically a pack from the OCG like the Linked Brains pack that we never got, and thus all the cards from those sets were giving out to us in small bits, and everyone was literally waiting for Patchwork the most. We also have the Preplan stuff from the same pack coming out to us here, but let's be real, we all really care about Patchwork at this point. So are Fluffles going to do something? Unfortunately, I don't think so, but they're definitely getting a massive boost in their consistency and are much more playable in Master Duel 4 than before. Being able to search out Poly in one of the best cards in the deck is amazing. It's going to be exciting to see if Fluffles will do anything during regionals or other smaller events now that they arguably have their best starter card given to them here in this set. I know OJ and many other Fluffle players have been waiting for this day to come in a long time. This card is also rare, which makes it accessible to pretty much everyone, although I personally wish for it to be foil since it's a card everyone has been demanding to come over here in the TCG in a very long time. In the number 2 spot is the best newly released archetype in this set, and that is of course Thunder Dragon. Now, there isn't really that much to say that already hasn't been said, but yeah, Thunder Dragons are kind of a hit or miss as we don't really know how good they will be over here yet. However, they did manage to top a lot of the OCG at the start of their release, but it hasn't really done anything much prior to that, since Skullshark mainly went to 1 over there, and that really hurts the pure version's consistency. The version that is very popular right now over in the OCG is the Dinosaur version, because the Thunder Dragons themselves synergize with Double Evolution Pill. It's going to be really exciting to see how the deck affects the meta during YCS Canada and YCS London. The best card of the archetype are obviously the fusions, like Colossus and Titan, with Colossus being the main chase and money card of the set, and most of the deck are Ultra and higher, but I believe the prices won't be too outrageous since they aren't really the new best deck or anything like that. But it's probably a very huge fan favorite deck and a lot of people really want to build it. Me and Simon so far has plans on playing the deck as well as some other people at my locals. I'm overall really excited over the deck and I hope I can play the deck as soon as possible. Before we get to number 1, I do have some honorable mentions that I didn't quite make the list, mainly due to me not knowing anything about them whatsoever. So let's get quickly into it. Token Collector. This card is basically a counter to Scapegoat and other token generating decks. And yeah, it's a pretty nifty little card, but it didn't quite make the list since I don't think the card is good enough. Diana the Light Spirit. Basically a version of Aqua Spirit just for lights. And yeah, there's pretty much nothing else to say. Summer Summoner. The reason this card is in the honorable mentions is because that I pretty much consider this a Thunder Dragon card, and Thunder Dragons were pretty much in the second place at this list, so yeah. It also kinda goes in tandem with that. The new Galaxy Soul Flare Dragon. Now, I heard some people say this card is really good for Galaxy, but I know absolutely nothing about Galaxy at all. So that's why it's mainly not in the top 10 list since I can't really talk about it. Falgo, Justice for Hire. Now, I know this card is really good for fur hires, but the problem is I know absolutely nothing about this deck whatsoever. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's the main reason why this card is in the honorable mentions. I mean, knew something about fur hires. Maybe this card would have made the top 10, but for now, it's in the honorable mentions. Ostinato. Melodious finally got their fusion spell they've been waiting for such a long time, so I'm really happy about that. All the new Gravekeeper support. Overall, the new support is pretty nice. I'm mainly into the spell card. That card is insane, but the fusion is alright, the trap is alright, and we also have the monster that summons from grave. So overall, it's pretty solid, but just didn't quite make the cut. The new Noble Knight cards. I know absolutely nothing about Noble Knights, so that's why I'm putting it here in the honorable mentions, like the other cards, since I can't talk about them whatsoever. But I heard they should be like really good. The spell is amazing, I think. That's about what I have to say. The new insect support. This is pretty funny, but it's not very that great, or like it's not gonna do anything super good or anything. It's just like more of a fun deck, and it's pretty much unplayable until we get the 2000 attack insect monster. So that's why it's in the honorable mentions. And finally, to our number one. A lot of people probably disagrees with me, but I believe that Dinowrestler Pankratops is the best card to come out of this set. This card is so good for many different reasons. So what it is that this card is level 7 dinosaur monster with 2600 attack and 0 defense. And what it does is that you can special summon it from your hand if your opponent controls monsters and you don't, much like Cyber Dragon. Then when it's on the field, it has a quick effect where you can tribute one Dinowrestler monster, including itself, to target one card in the field and destroy it. So this card is amazing on so many different aspects. First off, the fact that you can summon a 2600 attack beater on the field for free is awesome. And on top of that, it can even pop a card in the field as a quick effect. This card is seeing play pretty much in every side deck in the OCG, and it's not very hard to see why. This card can easily out any problematic floodgate with ease, and is able to destroy 2 monsters on the field when going second. This card can even work as a disruption during your opponent if it manages to stay on the field. This card literally has everything, and I was 100% sure it was going to be super rare, but the best part is that it's only a common, which means it's going to be essentially free for everyone, and I think many people over here are sleeping a bit on this card until it gets released. I know this card definitely is going to see competitive play, and it's a card I want to get a playset of immediately, so if you're going to the Soul Fusion League, I highly recommend that you pick this card up. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and let me know if you want to see more top 10s like this in the future by writing a comment down below. Paradigm signing out.